Yeah, so welcome to today's event on digital accessibility. So with us we have Team Elly. Yeah, it's a group of female developers who came up with this project called Elly. And they are at a better position to explain what Elly is. So yeah, I'd like to welcome them right now. So my name is Luke Kibiku, and I'm a Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador from Kenya. So right now I'd like to welcome, the one who will be taking us through the next session. I think it's Sabiha or Mireille. Yeah, you can introduce your team.
Thanks, Luke. Thank you for having us on this session. We're really excited to share about Elly and digital accessibility as well. So here I have my team, which consists of Princess, Zubeda, and Mireille. They're all Microsoft Learn student ambassadors, and I was a student ambassador up until March, where I graduated. And we met during the Digital Accessibility League sessions, and we were really interested and got started with building something for digital accessibility. So we're all going to start off with a short audio description of ourselves. So I'm Sabiha. I am a 22-year-old brown-skinned woman. I have black hair, and I am wearing a red-colored long-sleeved shirt. Behind me is my room where you can see a fan and a white background. And I'm going to pass over to Princess now for her introduction.
All right. So my name is Princess, and I am a young African woman from Nigeria. I have dark brown skin, and I have short dreads. And behind me is a virtual wallpaper of Elly. It's white and blue, and I'm currently wearing a black and white patterned shirt. And over to Mira.
Hello, my name is Zubaida. I'm a black 23 years old woman with a black afro hair. I'm wearing a polo pink shirt and my black red headphones. Behind me is a visual white and blue background with the words Elly written on it. I will pass to Mirel.
Hey, hi, hello, I'm Marie. I am an 18-year-old Chinese woman from Singapore. I have short black hair and two bobby pins. Right now, I'm currently wearing my brown-colored spectacles, a black hoodie, as well as my black headphones. Behind me is a virtual white and blue wallpaper with Elly written on the corner. Thank you.
Okay, I was muted. All right, so I would like to introduce everyone to Elly. And just like Sabiha said, we are a group of young developers, and we all came together during the Social Impact Act, and we created a group called Elly. And it was fun all the way because we all came together not knowing what we wanted to do, but we just knew that we wanted to impact socially, and we went into attack digital accessibility. So we came up with the name Elly. So what is Elly? Elly is a browser extension that you can use to auto-generate alt captions for your images. So currently, Elly works on the Twitter web app, and you can use Elly to, whenever you want to post an image on Twitter, you can use Elly to generate an alt caption for your images. That way, you have made your image accessible to a wide range of people, both people that have low internet connection and also people who have screen readers on, who are using screen readers to access Twitter. So we have a short promo video that we would like to play for you so that you can visually see how Elly works. So Miriam will play that now.
Image.
image.
All right. All right, so that was the video, and currently, Ellie, we are in the beta stage. We are testing with a lot of users, and if you would like to get access to use Ellie on your Twitter web app, you can go to www.joinelly.com and you sign up, and you will see us in your email box. So, Team Elly, we are really, really passionate about working with people with disabilities. We are really passionate about socially impacting people through software solutions. So our mission is to work with people with disabilities and those who would like to positively impact the society in order to influence the accessibility and inclusivity space through technology and building software solutions. So I hope with this short intro, you are quite pumped about digital accessibility. You are ready to join Team Elly as we build up this space. Thank you.
Alright, so what exactly is accessibility? Well, according to Microsoft Learn, accessibility describes whether a product can be used by people of all abilities. But why exactly should we care about digital accessibility? Well, according to the World Health Organization, there are more than 1 billion people, which is about 15% of the world's population, who live with some kind of disability. And this can be visual disabilities, hearing disabilities, motor disabilities, and a lot more. Yet we realize that there's a very large gap in the digital accessibility space because a study by WebAIM, an organization that aims to promote digital accessibility, there were actually more than 60 million, in fact, close to 61 million distinct accessibility errors detected across the top 1 million home pages on the internet. So, as you can see, there is a really large gap of some, like, we're not really fulfilling everything that we could do for digital accessibility. And as a result, we leave out these 1 billion people, this large. In fact, they are the largest minority about them, and that's why we are into digital accessibility and why it is so important, especially right now where it is quite lacking.
For this presentation, we will be focused on this fictional company Binary Box that needs our help. Binary Box is a fictional SaaS company that builds software for subscription-based food box services to use. It aims to run many community-oriented food workshops and employ people from diverse backgrounds and capabilities. Currently, the team consists in 5 members: the CEO, the CTO, the CFO, head of social, and 1 cook. On the journey to help Binary Box, we will assist them in the following areas: making the events more accessible, making the onboarding employee process on Windows 10 more accessible, and making the social media post more accessible.
So the first thing that Binary Box wants to do is make their events more accessible. So let's see how we can help them. At the moment, Binary Box focuses on releasing 3 types of content. These are tutorials on how to use their software, live hands-on workshops related to their software, and also some fun workshops related to meal planning and cooking. The last type of content that they want to release is promotional content such as TV commercials and ads on social media. For their next campaign, Binary Box wants to create a short promo video showcasing their software and its use cases. So let's see how we can aid them to make their next campaign much more accessible. One thing we can start off by doing is creating something called as audio descriptions. If you remember the beginning of the call, you would have heard us describing ourselves. So we talked about where we were sitting, how we looked, what we were wearing. This is called as audio description, and it's useful for reaching people who are visually impaired or people with low vision in general. So let's take a look at what goes into making an audio description and what exactly is an audio description. So audio descriptions are actually a form of narration that focuses on describing key visual elements in the media. So when we started speaking about ourselves, we talked about where we were sitting. We talked about how we were situated in that room and what things we were wearing. So it describes the key visual information in a media that is required to completely understand what's going on without someone actually looking at the screen themselves. It is useful for blind and visually impaired consumers, and it's most commonly seen in television, movies, and even other live events. So to better understand the audio descriptions, we're going to take a look at a clip from a movie you might have seen before. So we're going to play the clip now for you.
Hundreds of animals gather at the bottom of Pride Rock, a tall, flat ledge that towers over the rest of the sun. Zazu, a small bird with a large beak, flaps to the ledge. He bows to Mufasa, a powerful, dignified lion with a thick red mane. Rafiki, an elderly baboon with white hair, slowly climbs up to the ledge and hugs Mufasa warmly. They walk back to a cave where Mufasa's wife, Sarabi, cuddles a tiny lion cub in her paws. Smiling, Rafiki bends over Simba, the baby lion, and shakes his walking stick, which has 2 melons tied to it. Simba swats his paws at the melons playfully. Rafiki breaks one open. The wise old baboon dips his thumb in its juice and draws a line on Simba's forehead. Then he takes a handful of sand and sprinkles it over him. Simba's parents, Mufasa and Sarabi, smile and lean their heads together. Rafiki, who is much smaller than the adult lions, takes Simba up in his arms. Carrying him like a baby, he walks slowly to the end of the ledge, then holds Simba high in the air for all the animals to see. The antelopes jump up and wave their front hooves. The elephants raise their trunks in the air in a salute. The monkeys hop up and down, clapping with joy. The zebras paw the ground, sending up clouds of dust. High above them, Simba dangles from Rafiki's arms, looking small and scared. A ray of sparkling sunshine beams down on Simba like a spotlight. Far below, the animals bow down, their heads nearly touching the ground. From far away, we see every animal from the savannah paying respect to their king's new son.
So I hope that video made it much more clear how audio descriptions can play into movies. So based on the video, we're going to deep dive into what it takes to make a good audio description. So there are 3 key things you should keep in mind. That is what to describe, how you're describing it, and the preparation. So we're going to go into each of these so that if you want to create a audio description for any of your events or any of your videos, that's a great place to start. So the first section is what to describe. So whenever you're describing something, you need to make sure that you're including everything that someone would need to know what's going on. So for example, the video we saw earlier with the Lion King scene, it talked about how the birds were flying, the monkeys were cheering, and so on. So all these tiny things were really important to understand what's going on screen. So ensure that you include who is on screen, who is speaking, the location, how the characters are looking like, what are their expressions, and also the actions that they're performing. Also make sure to describe any additional sounds that are happening in the scene. So if there are birds chirping or there is leaves blowing, there's some extra background noise coming in, make sure that you describe it if it's important to the scene. The other thing you need to keep in mind is that if there's a soundtrack, make sure to not overlap the audio description with the soundtrack. because that would make it difficult for someone listening to understand what's going on. Next is how to describe a particular scene. To describe, you can write simple, clear, concise sentences. So don't try to make it too complicated. You can use simple language like monkeys were cheering, the birds are chirping, and so on. Also, make sure to use complete sentences whenever you're identifying a scene. Unless you're identifying a character, then you can use shorter sentences. Also, avoid using technical terms. So don't try to use too many jargons because that might make it not as understandable to others. Also, avoid using the term we see just to be considerate about people with vision disabilities. The other thing we need to keep in mind when describing is to use present tense. Also, make sure that you do not include any personal comments or interpretation. Just describe the scene as you see it without any additional thoughts from your end, because we just want to explain what's going on to someone else. Also, making sure that you pause between scenes, because with pauses, it gives time for everyone to understand what's actually happening. And also make sure that you pause whenever there's a soundtrack, if the soundtrack is important. So just to give the scene much more like aura and make sure that the scene is understood, make sure you have appropriate pauses. And the final thing with audio descriptions is how you deliver it. So with delivery, make sure that you understand first what's happening in the scene, and make sure you observe it accurately and closely so that you can describe that particular scene closely and accurately. Also, make sure that you prepare fully, so you have appropriate preparation. Make sure you have practiced it a couple of times, and this is not the first time that you're delivering it. And a great place to actually try out your next audio description practice could be your next event. So if you're conducting a technical event, you can start off like how the Elly team started off, describing themselves, describing their environments. That could be a great place to actually try out your next audio description. So to summarize, with creating audio descriptions, first make sure you know what you're describing. The second is how you're describing it. And the third one is the actual preparation behind describing the image. So now that we understood a little bit about audio descriptions, we will be moving on to the next way to make something more accessible. So now with Binary Box, we've helped them create audio descriptions, and we will help them now make their live events much more accessible. To do that, we'll be showing you some of the accessibility features within PowerPoint. So if you're creating a PowerPoint slide deck that you're sharing later, you can ensure to keep these features in mind. So the first feature is called as Enable Subtitles. This allows you to auto-generate subtitles when you're using a PowerPoint slide deck. So to do that, go into the subtitle settings, which is under Slideshow tab. Select the subtitle that you want to include. So there are multiple languages, and here in the example shown, we are choosing Swahili, which was a common language that's spoken in Kenya. So you can select that with the subtitle settings. And you can also set in a spoken language. So if you're not speaking in English, you can also indicate that under this tab. So again, it's under Slideshow. You click on Use Subtitles, and then you choose the language that you want to speak on and the language that the subtitle should be in. So it's not just that. PowerPoint also has a feature for auto-translate. So let's say your community is speaking in another language, like let's say Arabic or French, and you want your presentations to adapt to that language. You can use Translate feature by going into Review, Translate, click the OK to accept the terms, and then choose the language you want to translate to. Here in the example, we are showing it translated to French, but there are so many different languages you can use with this setting. So there's Korean, there is Portuguese. So if you're catering to an audience of different regions, this would be a great way to make your presentations much more accessible within seconds. So apart from auto-translate, there is also accessibility checker. So if you want to quickly just check your presentation, you can go to Review, check Accessibility, and this is going to generate a set of errors that are there within your presentation, which are really important to fix because without it, your presentation will not be accessible. So this is another great quick way to actually check your accessibility. And we're actually going to dive a bit more deeper into what this accessibility checker errors actually showcase. So the first, if you look at it, it looks like a tab. There are four key things. There's a red X, there's a warning sign, there is a thing that looks like an idea button, and then there's a thunderbolt. So the first one is the error, which is any content that is making that presentation very difficult to read would be highlighted here. So very important things like missing alternate text, which we will be addressing further in the presentation, and missing slide titles. These are really important for someone who is actually just accessing the presentation through a screen reader and not actually looking at it. So anything that's making the document really difficult to read would be highlighted here. The second one is the warning. Here, anything that's a bit difficult, but not in all cases, would be highlighted. So it's still okay, like it's not a critical error, but it's something that needs to be fixed before you send out the presentation to someone. The next one is the tip. The tip is anything that is not immediately required to be fixed, but if you present it in a different way, it could be much more understandable. So anything that may be like a color contrast, maybe you're putting white on a yellow background, and that's very difficult to read. But so that could be that's something that's highlighted within the tip section. So something, if you present in a different way, would be much more readable to someone who's reading it. The last section is intelligent services, and this is a really useful feature by Microsoft because it automatically suggests what you could do to make your content accessible. So if there's missing text or missing captions, the AI behind Microsoft would automatically generate that for you, and you could just view it, review it, and that's it. So these are all the features that you can use within PowerPoint, and these just take a matter of seconds because you just have to go to that tab, click that feature, and to do everything else for you. So these are some quick things you can keep in mind when you're creating your next presentation. So now that we actually helped Binary Box design their audio descriptions, design their PowerPoint templates, now we're going to take a look at how they can actually make their Teams event much more accessible. So with Microsoft Teams, it's very direct. It's just a matter of few clicks and your event could be accessible. To make your event more accessible, one thing you could do is adding captions. So within Microsoft Teams, either the web browser or the desktop app, you can click on the three dots that you see. This is called the More Options menu. It opens up the menu where you have an option to turn on live captions. So if you're currently in the meeting and you want to try this, you can do it. You can click on the three dots that are visible, click on the option that says turn on live captions, and you would see that there are captions automatically generated by Microsoft for you to make read and make it much more easier to view what's going on. Next, Mireille would be talking about the Windows 10 accessibility features.
Yeah, thanks, Sadiha. Okay, so right now that Binary Box knows how to make their events accessible, they want to move on to something a little bit more internal. That is, they want to help out their newest employee adjust to the company. Now, basically what they want to do is improve their onboarding process so that they are able to employ people from large with a lot of skill sets and different sets of abilities and make sure that their experience using Windows 10 is always inclusive no matter what kind of abilities they may have. And they also realize that this may be pretty useful if they ever want to step in the shoes of someone with a disability in order to make sure that whatever content or events they're making is accessible from the viewpoint of someone who has to rely on these tools or features. So the first tool that we'll be going to today is the Magnifier, which actually zooms in on parts of your display with a mini screen that tracks your cursor. So as you can see in the screenshot over there, there is actually a rectangle, a screen, that's boxing out the words use magnifier. So the words use magnifier suddenly appear larger than any other text on the screen, such as the magnifier header, and that's because of the display that acts like a magnifying glass. In fact, we can actually control how zoomed in we want it to be. So in this screenshot, it's 200%, but it could actually go up to 300%, even up to 1600 or 1600%, which is a lot. Built into Windows 10. So what a screen reader is it literally reads out the visual elements or the text on the screen, so that if anyone with visual disabilities has trouble reading the text because it is simply too hard to do so, like maybe the font is quite confusing, narrator helps them listen to what is on the screen. In fact, this is not just for text, it can also extend to images or other forms of media as long as there is alt text attached to it, which I think Princess will go through later. But yeah, so that's what a screen reader is. We also have speech, which is Windows speech to text feature, which makes text entry easier with dictation. The other thing it can do is actually allows you to use your voice to control certain settings on your display on your computer. But for the demo later, we'll be mainly focusing on dictation since that's easier to demonstrate. So to show you what I mean by all this, I would like to demo the accessibility features on Windows 10. So now to do that, let me just stop sharing for a while so that I can switch over to sharing my entire screen. Can I just check that you are able to see my screen now? It should still be on the slide.
Yes. Yes, we
Okay,
can see
thank
it.
you. So in order to access Windows 10 accessibility features, what you can do is you can enter the actually click on any one and sorry. Yeah, so you can click on any one. And as you can see, these are all the accessibility settings under Windows 10. So there's a lot here, but let's get right to it. First of all, there is Magnifier, which is the fourth one under Vision. So this means that these features are primarily there to help people who may be having vision disabilities. So you can see the different settings Magnifier. In fact, all of the features actually allow for a lot of customization. So if, for example, the screen that I was talking about, I want to make it larger, I can do so like that. And now for turn on magnifier, you can see now there's this screen that's tracking my cursor. And let's say I feel that this text is very small on the ordinary screen, I can actually go in and it will zoom in on the text so that I can read it. Maybe 200 is still a bit too small. Maybe if I go to 400, then yeah, it's huge and now I can read it quite easily. So if I wanted to demonstrate this on a real life website rather than this settings page, okay, first of all, let me make this slightly smaller so that it's easier to see. I will now go to the um, I'll go to the Elly Twitter page. So hold on, sorry. Yep, so right now this is the Elly Twitter page. And generally the text here is okay in a sense, but definitely for someone who is having a visual disability, the text may be very hard to read, like it may appear too small, ordinarily speaking. So if you use the magnifier to go in, it's a lot simpler. And even if you do not have a visual disability, it certainly helps a lot because if let's say you're on a specific website, which I'll just try to simulate the effect by zooming out, like if for some reason some websites have a very small font, then what you are able to do is actually you can just use magnifier at all times and just zoom in here so that it's easy to read, even if for some reason the font use is very, very small. So yeah, it can help us, it can help basically people of all abilities, which makes it a really, really useful tool. So the second feature that I would like to demonstrate is narrator. So let me just bring this up. Okay, so for narrator, it's the last item under vision. So as a screen reader, it also has a lot of options. So you can actually change the speed if you want it to be read more quickly. You can change the pitch, the volume. even the voice. Like for me, I chose Microsoft Mark English United States. And yeah, there are a lot of controls as you can see. So I will turn narrator on. Let me just make sure you can hear the audio on my screen.
Mouse mode on. Narrator is a screen reader that describes what's on your screen so you can use that information to navigate your device. It can be controlled by keyboard, touch, and mouse. Exiting narrator.
Can I check if you were able to hear that just now? Were you able to hear the screen reader just now?
Yes.
Okay, nice. So, yeah, so as you can see, that's a very quick demonstration of narrator itself. I just turned it off in case it started to read out everything. But now if I will demonstrate it on an actual web page, in this case, our tweet, if I will turn on narrator using the shortcut Control Windows key Enter,
Mouse mode on.
then it will start reading out.
To view key link.
So if I were to
Link Elly at Elly.org.
So if I were to get it, hover over the tweet, it should start reading the tweet. And you can listen carefully.
Elly at Elly.org. Let's talk about hashtag typography on hashtag Elly tips. Input symbol for Latin letters. There is no one best typeface, but it is recommended to use simple, familiar typefaces, e.g. Arial, Tahoma, Helvetica, and avoid complex characters like some cursive fonts. Hashtag Elly4A11Y hashtag A11Y hashtag accessibility image credit, web AIM in an italicized cursive font. This typeface is complex and more difficult to read. In a simple font, this typeface is simpler and easier to read. Alt reply read exiting narrator.
So you can see it was actually trying to read out every single element on the page, starting with the tweet. And yeah, so it not only did it manage to read out the text, it actually managed to read out the name for the emoji, as well as the alt text of this image, which I think Princess will cover later. But basically, it narrates all visual elements to the user. And you can see how this would be very helpful if someone is actually scrolling through their entire Twitter feed and maybe they find it very hard to read the small text. Yeah, then they can just rely on something like narrator as a screen reader to read through everything for them. And it's a lot easier for them to process information from an auditory standpoint from rather than from a visual standpoint in that sense. And yeah, narrator helps out a lot for that. So that's the screen reader narrator. And last but not least, I want to demonstrate speech, which is the first item under interaction. Sorry. So if you want to try it out for yourself, when you first turn it on, what will happen is they'll ask you to set up and you have to read out a paragraph. But other than that, it's actually really, really simple to set up. Just one thing to take note is that it's only available for, as they say here, a few couple of languages. So for the sake of this demonstration, I will just be using the English United States. Make sure that that's the language set on the keyboard. And I'll just turn on speech recognition now. So you can see the bar here. The thing about speech recognition is that it can also be used using a couple of controls set by Microsoft, which you can find on the Microsoft website, to control certain things. For example, you want to select text, you want to delete text in a document, you can do that using speech recognition by itself. But I'm going to demonstrate dictation, which is purely for text entry. So what I mean by this is if I were to go to the Elly Twitter account and let's say I want to tweet out something, and for some reason I don't want to type out myself. So you can see this is going to be useful for someone who may find it hard to aim which keys they want to hit on the keyboard, and therefore typing becomes a chore for them. Now instead of using their motor skills, they are able to use their voice, and this helps them out a lot also if let's say they're busy with other stuff but they are still able to talk. So to demonstrate, sorry about that. Okay, so you can see it was initializing, so I'm going to turn it on, and once I do, you will see a demonstration of how it inputs into the text field what I'm about to say. So for example, right now I am using dictation to tweet out something on Elly Twitter. Okay, I guess it didn't hear me. Or maybe it's processing. Okay, let's try again. Right now, I am tweeting out something on Elly Twitter. Okay, so maybe something there was a little hiccup there, but you can see it did actually manage to uh, copy over whatever I said into text, and it's actually pretty good. Like punctuation aside, it managed to capture the important content, and that also helps out a lot. So yeah, I can see how that would be useful, and especially combined with speeches, the speech commands that I can use to select the text. You can edit it very easily, and you likely not even have to touch the keyboard at all. So that helps people who may be having some motor disabilities. Yep. So let me discard that tweet, and yeah, as you can see, yeah, I think there's not much to go through. I guess one other thing to take note is that Microsoft has provided a lot of guides for some of the accessibility features. So, for example, narrator, if you want to know specific keyboard shortcuts for anything, likewise for the speech function, then you can search it up easily. I may send it later into the chat. But yeah, so I'll stop screen sharing and go back to the slides. Mm. Yep, so now we're passing the time over to Princess, who will be talking about how to make your media content more accessible.
All right, thank you, Mirel. So we have been able to see how this fictional company, Binary Box. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, all right. Okay. So we've been able to see how this company can improve their media content, how they can navigate Windows 10. So now we'll be looking at how they can make their social media more accessible. So the first thing that we are going to be checking out is alternate text on social media. So while Muriel was doing the demo on Twitter, we could see while the narrator was going on, it was able to read the alt text that the picture was tweeted out with the tweet. So what makes that possible is something called alt description. So on Twitter, when you want to post an image, there is a section called alt, and you can go there. I don't, if the picture here is quite visible, you can see that where this red arrow is here, you can put in a short description of what your image is talking about. So this is one of the main problems that Elly has solved. So easily you can just auto-generate captions for this box, and is able to capture what your image is saying. So on Twitter, you can just come here to where this red rectangle is, and you add your description and you describe what your image is talking about, and that way your image is more accessible to a wide range of people. So that way, if somebody is using a narrator or any other screen reader, once they read the preceding captions on your tweets, they can also it can also read out the alt captions and alt descriptions that you have provided in for your image. And this is not only available on Twitter, it's also available on most social media platforms, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Instagram. So I think in the next slide, we have a short video on our Elly YouTube channel where we are going to describe how to add all descriptions to Instagram.
Hi everyone, in this video we're gonna take a look how you can add all descriptions to Instagram. To get started, first tap the plus icon to create a new post. I'm now going to choose an image of an eye, which is a pencil sketch for this particular tutorial. So choose your image of choice, add any filters that you like, and press next. The option that you need here is advanced settings. Click on it and then tap write all text at the bottom of the page. Here you can describe the image, whatever you feel would be the best description as per the guidelines we had discussed earlier. So here I'm adding a pencil sketch of an eye. Great. Once that's done, tap the check mark and then write any caption that you would like. So here I'm going to just add in additional caption to go along with my image. That's a really cool drawing. And that's it.
All right. So you can get more videos like this on our YouTube channel. Just search Elly on YouTube and you will see how to make your content more accessible by watching our videos. So if you notice, Muriel, if you could go back on that video on YouTube, if someone who has a hearing disability and wants to watch our video, you can turn on closed captions. So Muriel, if you could turn the video on and enable. Yes. So you can see that once the closed captions is enabled, you can read off exactly what Sabiha is saying in the video. So this is another good way to make your media content more accessible. So you not only add alt text to your images, you also add closed captions to your images. And this is very possible when you want to upload your videos to YouTube. There is a section for you to upload subtitles, and you can also upload that as well. There's an option for you to upload captions. You can upload that as well. And it's also a very good practice when you are uploading your videos to any social media. It's good to explain the video well in a description box. YouTube has a description box, and if you notice, most YouTubers explain what the video is going to be talking about in the description box, and it's a very good practice. So it's also good to do that as well. So you can check out more videos on our YouTube channel. Another way to make your content more accessible is through color. Color is everywhere, and everything we look at is comprised of color. Color is one of the significant things that makes life. Although there are a special set of people who have a disability for color, they can't see most colors, and this happens to all of us in different situations. For example, the image here, you can see the white text on the lemon green background. It's quite difficult to see, and you have to really look closely before you see the letters that are written on its color accessibility. So this is not a good practice, and the WCAG guidelines specify that you have to use a color that has a greater performance. The AA levels has to be very high. While on the left, you can see the text that is written on a brown background is very easy to view, and you can easily see the text that is written on it. So I want to do a very short demo on a website that you can easily use to know if your colors are accessible so that you can make the right color choices. You don't have to be a fancy graphic designer, or you have to be a designer or a brand designer in order to know how to choose good colors. So I would like to, if you can visit www.colorcontrast.cc. It's a very cool tool that I found that you can easily check for color accessibility. Meryl, if you could go to the next slide. I think I have the website there.
Okay.
So once you visit this site, I want to quickly share my screen.
Okay,
So
can
that
you
you
share your
can.
screen now?
Yes, I want to do that now.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, I don't know if my screen is visible. Just help me confirm.
Yep, it's visible. Thanks, Princess.
Okay. Okay, so this is colorcontrast.cc, and it's a very cool tool that I found that you can use to check for your color accessibility. So right now you can see the background color of this website is this hex code. This string of letters and numbers is called the hex code, and this is the color it represents, kind of a lemon green. And the foreground color, which is this hash 222, the hex code here, is kind of a very dark shade of black. And you can see it passes all the conformity rules, the AA large, AAA large. These are like levels of color accessibility conformity. So you can check up at CAG guidelines, that is the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, for to understand this. But let me just do a quick demo. If I change this foreground color, that is the text color, to white, you can see that it fails the test. And you can see that this color is not accessible. We cannot use white on, or this text code on this color. And you can see how it looks on a text. Very, very difficult to read, and I can't even look at it for long. I'm already feeling some type of way. So you can see. So this is a very cool tool that you can use to check for color accessibility. So once again, color contrast.cc, very cool tool. So let me stop sharing and move on. Muriel, you can share back now.
Okay.
So yeah, I think that's all from my end.
Thanks, Princess, for sharing all about colors and making social media content accessible. So, while in today's session you've learned about audio descriptions, you've learned about Windows 10 accessibility features, and also what alternate captions are, there's a lot more to learn within the accessibility space, and there are some initiatives that we as a team have started. So, one of the initiatives is the Elly Tips. So, we run this weekly tip series where we share a short tip each week about digital accessibility. So, if you look, one of our tips is about contrast and colors, which Princess talked about in today's session. So, how it's important to have high contrast in order to ensure that your content is readable by people who have vision disabilities. Apart from that, we also share quick and short videos in order to how to perform certain tasks like adding alternate descriptions. We have a video about that. And we also share a lot of links that you can go to and try out different accessibility features. So if you're interested, make sure to follow Elly.org on Twitter so that you can learn about these tips. Each week, we choose a different topic. Apart from that, as Princess has already mentioned before, we have a YouTube channel. And apart from the video you saw today, which was how to make your Instagram media more accessible, we have two other videos related to Facebook and LinkedIn. So you can ensure that any content that you post, any video, any image that you post is accessible. And we show you exactly how to do it. And these are not videos that are really long, just 5 minutes, quick ways how to make your content accessible. Apart from that, we also have a community on Discord. So this is where we share all about our new events, any accessibility cheat sheets, accessibility checklists that we create. And we're going to put this link in the chat. So it would be lovely to see all of you all join in this space on the session after the session. And you can interact with all of the Elly dev team members. So it's not just accessibility you need to talk about. You can also ask about like how has digital accessibility how was Elly made, even like what's the development process for Elly. You can always like reach out to us, ask all of this on the Discord channel, and we'll be happy to answer for you. So before we end this session, we have a little practice time for you. So you've learned a lot about audio descriptions, so we thought we could give you an exercise that you can just work through today. So the exercise that we have for you is this image that is shown on screen. And your task is to create a audio description for this image based on what you learned. So if you're up for the challenge, you can think about how can you best describe this image. So if you remember back to when we were talking about audio descriptions, you need to make sure what the image contains is included, how you describe it, so make use of simple language, and also how you deliver it. So make sure it's present tense, it's not too complicated, and it can be easily understood when someone reads it. So just as an exercise, we're going to give you 2 minutes. You can type in the chat what you think would best describe this image, and then we can go over what you guys have typed. And if you need any help, you can always tell us, or you can even come off mute and share your sentence that you created for this image. So just to make it a bit easier for you all, I've also put in the key guidelines in the chat. So these are the things you need to keep in mind when you're preparing an audio description for any image or any video. So this is just like a helpful hint for you all. So we'll give you all another minute to try out this, and you can just put it in the chat. It doesn't have to be correct. We can help you fix it. We can give you suggestions. So you can just put it in the chat, and then we'll go through the solutions together. Okay, so I see that no one has tried it out yet, but that's okay. So we practice and then we learn. So for this session, we're going to share with you the sample example answers for this. So the first way you could describe it is very detailed. So this particular description reads it out as the ADI logo set on a black background consists of three capital letters ADI in bold white, joined at the edges, followed by three white expanding sound waves, which look like crescent moons in size. An image of the Earth as seen from space is predominantly blue and white tones with a bunch of brown rests above the letter I. So this is one way you could describe it. It's talking about what's being shown on screen, like the letters, how they look, like how are they bolded, are they italic? It's talking about that. It's also talking about other key elements in this, such as the background. The background is black in color. It's talking about where the images are placed, like the image of the Earth is placed exactly above I, looking like the letter I. There's also these crescent moons. So it's taking into account each of these elements, which is according to the guidelines we learned earlier. Make sure you describe everything that's important for someone to understand. The other way you could describe this is very simple, but it still covers everything in the image. It's called over a black background, bold white letters read ADI, followed by three convex sound waves increasing in size. The planet Earth dots I, Audio Description International. So that's the quick, shorter version of this particular image. So just like this, it is recommended that you practice working with audio descriptions if this is something you want to include in your future videos, or even at the beginning of the event when you introduce yourself like you're speaking an audio description. It's a great way to actually make your content much more accessible to people who can't see, and it gives them the feeling that they're there and they're listening to you as though they can actually see it. So now I'm going to pass over to Zubaida, who is going to go over some of the Elly beta features.
So we're now testing a beta Elly version. Can you please turn up? So we are choosing an image, and we can caption, copy. So to help us testing this beta version, please go to joinelly.com Please, Miral, can you show the website, please?
Okay.
This is the Elly website. You must enter your email. Click on Get Early Access and wait for Team Elly to contact you to give access. Thank you so much for being with us during these presentations. To learn more about Elly and our initiatives, follow us on Twitter and subscribe to our channel. In case you have questions, please unmute yourself or just write the question in the chat so we can answer.
Okay, so thank you so much, Team Elly. My name is Felix Omok. I just had a question. Okay, so you say that Elly is in the beta, so because I was just trying to look it up on Chrome Web Store and realized it's not there. So somebody must just sign up for them to maybe try out Elly, right?
Yes, so currently we have it's hidden on the Chrome store. So when you sign up on the website, we share the link with you, and that's how you can access it.
Okay, so thanks for that. Okay, just one more question. Okay, I was just trying out. The Microsoft Teams feature that you talked about, the live caption. And my question was, okay, I've never seen this one before, so thanks for that, by the way. And I was wondering if I turn on the live captions, it means that I'm the only one seeing the live captions, or does the whole audience see the live captions? That is if I'm the event organizer.
So unfortunately, with Teams live captions, everyone would have to turn on from their end. So if there's an audience, they would have to click and then turn on the live captions. But if you want everyone to see what's being like the subtitles, a good way would be enabling it on PowerPoint. So in PowerPoint, there's another subtitle feature which Mireille is just showing. So that way everyone can see it because it would be on your screen. Whereas with
Hello.
Teams, everyone would have to. Yeah, Mireille, you can just go ahead and speak a few words, I guess. So
Oh
it
yeah,
could be
sorry,
with.
I didn't realize I was unmuted. But basically, I was trying to demonstrate the subtitle feature. What happens is that, as you can see, it require. Okay, no, it doesn't say that, but it requires me to speak. So whoever is presenting has to be the one speaking. I don't think it's super accurate right now, but yeah, so like hello, or something. Oh, it's listening. But yeah, I guess it's more applicable for a live event whereby you can actually present the slides and you show it to, or like when there's one speaker rather than sharing screen, because for sharing screen it doesn't work as well, because if Sabiha says something, the my mic does not pick it up, so then it does not get displayed as a subtitle. Yeah.
Okay, thanks for that. So there's a question in the chat. Somebody's asking, what is the technology used to develop your platform?
Mireille, do you want to take that one?
Okay, so when you say technology, you mean like what we're using for Ellie to work, right?
Yeah, maybe something like that.
Okay, so we're actually using Microsoft's machine learning platform, which is called Azure Computer Vision. So based on computer vision, is actually able to detect, like using, like you can see the different text here, it's able to detect and therefore generate an alt text that we allow you to copy into the alt text section of the uh, image. Yeah.
And just to add to that, since it's a Chrome extension, we are also using JavaScript, HTML, and CSS to design the Elly window. So Mireille, if you just want to maybe bring up the Elly window, we could show them how it looks. So that's just simple JavaScript, HTML, CSS, and our backend is more focused on using Microsoft APIs.
Yep, so this is what the window looks like. Then if I were to try to get an image like, okay, let me just get some demo images out. You can see, so if I caption this, sorry, let me try it again. Yep, so I can just copy it here, add the description, copy it. It got copied into my clipboard, by the way, so yeah. Then you can just save it and post it. So yeah, this is what it looks like.
So we're currently also in beta testing. So if you want to try out the product, just put your name down on joinelly.com or your email so we can reach you and we can send you the link to help you get started with Elly.
Okay, I had one more question. So once now you release the product now to the public, are you planning to give it out for free or are you be charging some fee?
So we want this feature to be available, like accessible for everyone. So we're not going to charge fee for just generating captions. So you can choose an image and you can generate captions how many ever time you want. But we're thinking about in the future having some additional features like maybe video captioning or uh, or some other features that we're looking into, or translation features that we might include a premium version. But at this stage, we're just testing, and right now everything is free. So at this point, we don't have a charge at all.
Okay, that's amazing. I'm looking forward to it. Okay, so is there anybody who has any question or anybody you're leaving out? So Peter, you said that you joined late. We'll be downloading the recording, editing, and uploading it on YouTube on the Microsoft Launch Student Ambassador Scalar YouTube channel. So maybe you can check that by tomorrow. Okay, so if there's no question, I would just like to thank our Elly team. This one was an amazing session. Actually, the things I never knew were present, like the Microsoft PowerPoint, the accessibility checker. I'd never known that's available. I don't know of the captioning, so thanks for sharing that. So let me give it back to Samuel.
Thank you, Felix. And Sabiha, you have anything to say?
Thank you all for inviting us and Team Elly. It was really fun to actually share all about accessibility. And again, feel free to reach, like anyone in the audience can reach out at us on the links that we've shared. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Mirele, you had anything to say?
No, other than thank you so much to everyone for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Okay, so thank you so much, Team Elly, and also for everyone for joining in. It was an amazing session. I learned a lot personally. Yeah, so thank you. Yeah, you can leave at your own pleasure.